Hello everybody, it is Corey from Gemini Guitar and we are back today for some stoner rock, or heavy rock as I like to call it. And we are going to be just working with the low E string here, so this is an interesting concept. It's one that I think everybody should start out with, so if you are new to composing your own music, I think working with one string is a great place to start, and that's why I've chosen to do this today, just to demonstrate that we can extract quite a bit just from not only one string, but the 5 notes that we're going to use, which are based on the E minor pentatonic scale. So first, let's take a look at all these pentatonic notes on the low E string, and you can apply this to the high E string as well, because they are, of course, the same thing, just in a higher and a lower octave. Let's start, because we're beginning at the 12th fret with the pull off to the 10th and back to the 12th, we'll start here at the octave up at the 12th fret, so this is the E note. So this is the E minor pentatonic scale, essentially going backwards down to the low E string. So we've got the note E, then we have D, then we have B, and we have A, and we have G, and then no fingers required here, and that's the low E string open. Now the concept that I'm employing here is I'm taking the low E string as a sort of base or foundation, and then I'm using groups of 2 notes within the scale to create a rhythmic simile that continues through the whole riff. So let's take a look at these groupings. We took a look at the scale before, so the groupings are going to be as follows. So we have the E and the D note, fret 12 and 10. And then we've got the groupings at the 10th and the 7th fret. And then at the 7th and the 5th fret. And then the 5th and the 3rd fret. Now every one of those groupings is a triplet, and this is what makes it interesting, because normally with triplets you have like 3 separate notes. Because we're returning to the beginning note, it's got this nice little effect. And I like that a lot. Slow it down a bit. Now, the other thing that's happening in the first 2 bars is that we're combining swing and triplet rhythm. So the low E string is a swing rhythm. And if we played the swing rhythm, those 2 notes just repeating, and this does come up in the 3rd bar, it'll sound a bit like this. Now, essentially what the swing rhythm is, it's like a triplet, but without the middle part of the triplet. So normally a triplet would sound like this. Well, the swing rhythm just cuts out that middle note. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break up each half of each bar. So we're going to start with the swing rhythm on the low E string. That's just played once. And then we're going to combine that with the 12th and the 10th fret grouping. And we're going to do this a little bit slower, and I'll just repeat it a couple of times. So here we go. Now, interestingly enough, that 12th fret note that we end on rings into the next part of the swing rhythm. So essentially, there's this interesting effect where we're only playing the latter half of the swing rhythm leading into the next triplet. And to understand that, you'll really need to hear it as a whole bar. So I'll just do that now, and then we'll break up the last half. Sounds like this. One more time. So what I'm doing there is I'm hitting the low E string on an upstroke, I think, and then we're going to progress then to the grouping where we play the 10th and the 7th fret. Take note of the pick strokes because they do actually help the direction which you pick. And it's pretty straightforward once you get used to it. You just have to learn the basic swing rhythm first and then learn not to play at the beginning there in that second half. So from this point on, we essentially carry that idea into the next bar. So you'll notice once we do the grouping 10, 7, 10, the 10th fret rings into the next, instead of being played, it rings into the next swing rhythm, followed by the low E string, which is played, and then we move to the next grouping. So it will sound like this. So that's the low E string, upstroke, and then we're going to have 7th, 5th. One thing I didn't remember to mention was that, and you will see this in the tab, but it is pulled off for each grouping. So it's pick, pull, pick. You can actually pick all these if you want. That's up to you. I just prefer to do the pull off. I find it's got a more fluid sort of sound, which is good. And yeah, it sounds good that way. But anyway, getting back to that grouping, so it's open string, going to pick the 7th, pull the 5th, and then pick 7th again. Take that idea, move it into the next grouping. So we've actually got this rhythm 3 times. We begun where we did play both notes of the swing rhythm leading into the triplet. And then we just skipped the first part of the swing rhythm for the next 3 fragments. So let's have a listen to both of those bars a couple of times, just so you can get to grips with it. What we're going to do to begin with in the third bar is just play the swing rhythm. Now firstly, the first fragment swing rhythm is not going to be palm muted, but the next 3 are. So it will sound like this. Let's do that again. So first 2 not palm muted, next 3 fragments are. And we're going to keep palm muting, but in the next bar, the 4th bar, what we're going to do is we're going to do on beat 1 the swing rhythm, and then we're going to alternate with the triplet, and then we're going to repeat that. So swing rhythm and then triplet. That's what I call Children of the Grave rhythm, because you will hear that in the classic Black Sabbath track, Children of the Grave, which is a great track and a great way to learn that rhythm, by the way. Okay, so let's have a listen to these 2 bars, and we'll see how we go. Now you will know that my first finger is sitting here. That's not because I'm fretting a note or anything. It's just to to mute any unwanted string noise. So I just rest the first finger up to the 5th string, the A string. That way if I do play down, if I do get a bit more aggressive, it gives it a percussive sort of effect, but it also stops it from sounding messy. So a good thing to keep in mind. Okay, so for the final round, we're going to listen to the whole idea at a slower tempo, and then you can go away and practice it and get better at it and add something else to your arsenal. Here we go. So that completes today's lesson. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check out the tab over at the website, geminiguitar.com.au, and if you're able to do so, you can support me through the download store. There's a variety of download products available to check out. If you're able to do that, it will be greatly appreciated. And until the next lesson, bye for now.